Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Now, we are continuing with our journey, Alhamdulillah. And I did not give out notes today because I wanted you to focus on what I'm going to say today. And then maybe when I share the notes later, you can make your own notes then, because I think when you get distracted by note taking, you won't be able to understand fully what I will try to say in this session tonight. So we're going to just focus on listening and understanding. Again, there will be quite a number of terminologies that we're going to go through today. So I don't want you to get so caught up in the terms. What I want you to focus on is to understand what those terms mean. I do give root letters when it is relevant. Otherwise, I don't give the root letters, but I usually give the root letters and the meaning so that it helps you to understand. It helps you to understand. But inshallah, open your mind tonight, relax, and listen, and then I will ask some questions just to make sure that you're listening and that you're following what I'm saying, inshallah. Now, there are some things that you need to be aware of, before we start, okay? We know things like linguistic meaning and technical meaning. Sometimes we're clear what's linguistic and what's technical. Sometimes we are not clear what is linguistic and what is technical. It depends on how that word is used across the different sciences. Across different sciences. In fact, not just the science of learning, not the sciences of the Qur'an, not just the sciences of the Qur'an, but any field, any science. I'm talking about engineering, medical. When you take one term and you take it across from the world of medicine and put it in the world of engineering, it becomes a different meaning. And within engineering itself, for example, you might have engineering that's meant for buildings, engineering that's meant for websites, for example. I think those of you who attended the Balaghah intensive that Ustad Numan did, he made a very clear distinction between these two. So I'm going to go over the same thing that he went, so that those of you who were not able to do the intensive can at least understand the difference between linguistic as well as technical. What is linguistic, what is technical? Now, for your information, the Qur'an does not use technical meanings. No technical meanings in the Qur'an. It's based on linguistic because the language was done based on the Arabs of that time, what they understood. So nothing technical. However, like I said, we are all human, and there are scholars who do get it mixed up sometimes. And students like us, of course, all the more. So let's just see what sort of examples there are. Okay. Now, the word zakah, linguistically, or in terms of lughawi, we call it, means to purify. That's the first thing, to purify, or growth or increase. But when we translate it in terms of our deen, it becomes an istilah, which means a charity that you have to give, usually 2.5% of your wealth. But when the Qur'an uses it, it's talking about purifying. It's talking about purifying. Well, this is on the earlier notes, but towards the end, it became more formalized, and zakah meant this one. Meant this one. But initially, it was just meant to purify, and that's why we do it. That's why we give the zakah in the first place, because we want to purify our wealth. Then there's more barakah to it. It will grow. It will grow. Then we have the word ilmu. Now, whenever we talk about ilm, we talk about the sciences pertaining to our deen, especially in terms of sharia, in terms of tafsir and things like that. But initially, it was only meant for knowledge. The meaning was knowledge or understanding something. So here I have an example here. Exalted are you? We have no knowledge except what you have taught us. This is when Allah was addressing the angels. And they were questioning, why did you put humans on earth when you know they are such destructive creatures, right? So he says that I know what you do not know. So then they replied to this. So we're talking about knowledge here, not so much the sciences. But the most clear-cut example is the third one here. The term al-ulama, those who possess knowledge. This is the original meaning, and this is what is meant. So, as time progressed, there were interpretations of this word that made ulama scholars. So, in that sense, it made certain things in the Qur'an exclusive to scholars. Only they knew it, So, but that is not the meaning. That is not the meaning. All right. Hold on. Could you message to them, please, to use the first link and not the second link, inshallah. So, in this case, and from the translation of 35:28, it's only those who have knowledge among his slaves that fear Allah. So this is the ulama that they mean. They didn't mean scholars per se as the ones who are titled scholars because they have gone to the university and learned about the religion in a formal manner, and they get certified for learning it over a number of years, different sciences and so on and so forth. Here it's just those who know what La ilaha illallah means, those who are knowledgeable, who know Allah and what the religion was all about, what the religion that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought. So here are examples between the lughawi meaning as well as the istilahi, istilahi. So, in this case, when we were talking about this ayah, in this ayah, the Sahabah understood, the companions understood that this is linguistically, and they don't know about scholarship as what we know now, okay? So, all it's saying here is, if someone knows Allah, if someone knows Allah, knows his attributes, knows his names and so on and so forth, then you can be sure that he will come to fear. Fear in a sense, fear is fear. That means be afraid of Allah, but at the same time, you are inclined to be more humble, meaning that you know where you stand with Allah, so you know his strength compared to what you can do. So in this sense, you do not do what he tells you not to do, and you do what he tells you to do because you know he knows best. So these are people who understand the character of Allah, the Zat of Allah. So that's the difference. As I said, over time, the term ulama has come to mean another thing. Now, apart from trying to explain the difference between linguistic and technical meaning and why it's so important to know the difference, we must understand, like I said, the Arabic in the Quran is based on Arabic of that period. So you cannot compare it with the modern Arabic and say, okay, this is what we should understand from it, because that's not how it worked. So let's look at this term called Fasahah. Fasahah. I've put here clarity, but as usual, sometimes there are Arabic words that you cannot explain with just one word. But this is the best that we can come up with. And there are a few terms that you need to know. Mustalahah. You know Balaghah. You saw this. Mutabaqah. This is when you use words or sayings that suit the occasion. Remember, we talked about 911, and we talked about doing our Hajj. So what sort of words to use on those occasions? What dua do you make during those occasions? It must suit the occasion. So, but we will look at this later, after we have understood what Fasahah is, because this is like a prerequisite to Balaghah. However, not all Balaghah is Fasahah. Because remember, we said Balaghah is when you want to convey something to someone. You want to convey a message to someone. So that message has to move them in a certain way. So they understand it, and they know we want them to act upon what we tell them. So it has to reach them in a certain way. However, there are occasions when you use Balaghah so that it obscures them from the meaning. You don't want them to know, because that is your intention. So we'll use language that may not be Fasahah. But might not be Fasahah. Okay. So that's something that we also need to understand. Okay, there are 3 categories in Fasahah. That means it affects 3 things. So what are these 3 things that it affects? The different levels. The Kalimah, the word itself. The word itself has to be clear. Wow. Okay. So this is your word choice. What suits the sentence and its meaning? You can't choose a word that doesn't look, doesn't contribute to the meaning of the sentence. Then there's also Fasahah in terms of al-kalam. That means a group of words, and that word, should work together. It shouldn't go against each other. It shouldn't affect the flow of the meaning. So that is Fasahah of speech. And then, as a result of this too, you have the mutakallim, the one who speaks. When you have this and you have this, you automatically become a Fasahah speaker. So these are the 3 categories, and we'll be looking at these 2 quite closely. And today, this session, we're just concentrating on the word alone. Just on the word alone. So that's to indicate to you the depth of Balaghah. We're just doing terminologies now, and we're just skimming the surface, and this will take us the next few sessions. Quite a number of sessions. Okay, what do we mean by Fasahatul Kalimah? Now, in Balaghah, we have something we call eloquent speech. This one, or the eloquent speaker, mutakallimun baligh. Balighun is your isim fa'il. It means the one who is eloquent. But we don't have kalimatun balighah. There's no such thing as an eloquent word. Okay, there's no, you can't have just one word and expect that word by itself to be rhetorical or eloquent. You can't expect that out of a word. That's too much to ask of a word. So we don't have an eloquent word. But what we do have is an clear word. Clear word. So basically, when you talk about clarity, what you want to do, your goal or your objective, is actually to get someone to understand. So that's why we need to use the right words in your sentence. So you need to get someone to understand. First thing. Balaghah is another thing. Not only understand, maybe impress someone to do something, or maybe obscure something from someone so they don't understand. So these things we need to appreciate, and how it's been used we will see as we go along. Now, what's the definition of Fasahah? We're getting technical now. We're not talking about linguistic anymore. We're talking about technical. So how do we know that a word or words are Fasahah. Now, in this case, we are concentrating on the word itself, yeah, on the word itself. So a word is considered Fasahah if it's free from 4 defects. Defects here meaning weakness, that they have weaknesses. So what are these 4? The first thing, now, don't be afraid of words. Tanāfur al-ḥurūf, yeah, Tanāfur al-ḥurūf, we're talking about letters. Al-gharābah, you may have heard this word before. Gharib, something that is strange, that's odd, that's rarely used. Yes, gharābah, gharābah. And then here we have al-qiyās. The term al-qiyās is like rules. Yes, so the rules of sarf, and it goes against. Yeah, when we say Mukhalafah, just like when we say that there are opinions between the mufassirin, there is hilaf between them, or differences. So in this case, we are going against the rules of sarf. Yeah. And here, this one, Ustad Numan was saying, he doesn't understand why it actually is a fourth defect, because this, when you have this and this and this, it will already not sound nice. Yeah, so karāhah, as you know, something that is not nice. Karāhah, that's difficult. Yeah, so the sound is not pleasing. So if it's free from all these 4, then the word is Fasahah. Yeah, so that's nice. The scholars have defined it for us so that we know now. So if any of this appears in the word, then it cannot be Fasahah. Remember, the Qur'an is always clear, so you will not see examples of this in the Qur'an. Yeah, so we have to go and refer to poetry in our case in order to explain what we mean by each and every one of this. So today we're going to be exposed to Arabic poetry a little. I don't know much about Arabic poetry, so please bear with me, inshallah. Okay. So when we say Tanāfur ḥurūf, the combination of letters in the word should not make it difficult to pronounce. Okay, this is what the Arabs call yu'rafu bizuq, make easy. This is majhul. Yeah, yu'raf, majhul, made easy on the tongue. Yeah, made easy on the tongue. So it shouldn't be something that is difficult to pronounce. I'm giving you some examples which have been taken off from poetry. I'm not going to go through the lines of the poetry. I'm just showing you that sometimes you have words like this that makes it difficult for us to pronounce. Yeah, like zish, and this is ho ho. The ha and the ha, and ein. Not easy. And like this, an-nuqāh, not too bad, but still. Al-mustashzirat, your zai, your zal, your shin, your sin. It's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult. Now these are words. We don't have difficulty in terms of words in English. Not many words in English have letters that go against each other. Yeah, usually when we talk about tongue twisters in English, we're talking about an array of words, like she sells on the seashore, things like that, right? And see, S is not my favorite word. So those sort of things we may have in English, but in English, the word itself usually do not have this problem. Yeah, but in Arabic we do. Yeah, we do have this problem. Now, this is like a rough place, yeah, and this is about grazing. Actually, it means to graze somewhere, a place where you put camel or horses or cows to graze. Yeah? This is what ho is. Yeah. Now, you will not find this case in the Qur'an. Yeah, what you will find in the Qur'an, however, I just want to add here something. Yeah, so there are letters that do not work together. They repel each other. Yeah, they repel each other. But in the Qur'an, what you will get, even though you have letters, maybe you have a combination of letters, like in this case. Yeah, like mim, noon, zai and lam. Yeah? They're close to each other, but they're smooth. They're smooth. Who is able to speak on the microphone tonight? May I have a volunteer, please? Yes, Sister Saida. This is an ayah from the Quran. Could you read this for me, please?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A'udzu Antum anzaltumuhu minal muzni am nahnu munzilun.
Yeah, munzilun. So you had no problems there, right? It was quite clear.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, so although we have like nun, zai, lam, no mim, yeah, but anzaltumuhu, muzni, yeah, munzilun. Yeah, it's all clear. It doesn't fight with each other. In fact, it's actually what we call phonetically beautiful. Yeah, when we look at the letters, yeah, this is what we call phonetically beautiful. So this is what we find in the Qur'an. So now we know, since it doesn't have all this, the Tanāfur, that's why it's Fasahah. Yeah, that is Fasahah. Okay, now let's look at other things. Sorry. Then we have something called al-gharābah. Al-gharābah, remember, from the root letters gha, ra, and ba, which means something strange, something odd. Technically, there are two categories. A word that has more than one meaning, so you really need to know what the context is, and a word that is so strange that even the Arabs have not heard of it. Yeah, this is how rare it is. Remember, Arabic, pure Arabic, right, came from the desert dwellers, yeah, the Bedouins and the tribes that you find who travel from place to place, the nomads, so to speak, yeah. And they have their own, colloquial use of words, yes. And so sometimes there are words which maybe what we call the educated scholars, if you can say this, just haven't heard of it, just have not heard of it, So this is what we mean by so strange, hardly used, that even the natives have not heard of it. Yeah. Now, let's have a look at some examples. Now, for a word that has more than one meaning, yeah, here this is a bite of poetry. Now I have a slide after this slide, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure which slide, that gives you a little explanation why in Arabic, not only just in Arabic, yeah, we find it also in Greek poetry, if I'm not mistaken, like two halves to a poem. This is a bite, but there are two halves to it, then a space in between. Yeah, so there's one of the slides in your notes that I will give that explains this and what it's called and so on and so forth. Yeah, so here we have a line of poetry or a bite of poetry, and it was written by a man named Ru'bah. Yeah, and he used musarrajan. So let me share with you what are the different meanings of these words, so at least you can get a better picture of what's going on. So here we're talking about, he's actually describing an eye. He's actually describing a face. Yes, he's actually describing a beautiful face. Yeah, but the words that he used to describe this face was unusual, not something that was common. And he did this because he wanted the face to be described in a way that has never been done, and that's literally what happened, so much so that people didn't understand what he was trying to say. Yeah, so this is a classic example of gharābah, when you overdo something. Yeah, when you overdo something. So all the rest are quite okay, because you can understand. Yeah, here for example it's just describing an eyebrow and how arched it is. Yeah, this is the sifah to this mawsuf. And then here also it went on to describe the eyebrow, that it was black, really black. Yeah, and then it described the nose. With the nose, he used a word musarrajan, which could mean a number of things. It could mean smooth, well-formed, meaning straight and shining. Now, there's something here called saddle polish. Saraja, you know, if you look up the dictionary, it can mean a lamp, light of some sort. Yes, I think we've seen this in the Qur'an somewhere. And it can also mean the saddle. You know, saddle as in what we used to sit on a horse. Okay, so what's the connection here? Now, when you have a saddle, it has to fit the back of the horse. Yeah, if not, it will hurt you and it will hurt the horse when you ride it. Yeah, so saddles are normally nicely placed, well formed. Yeah, not crooked, just fits the horse's back so that you can ride it comfortably and it won't hurt the horse. Okay. So now, which one does he mean? Does he mean that, you know, the nose is shiny on the face, it looks so beautiful? Or does he mean that the nose sits very well on the face, so it looks nice? You know, it's not crooked, it's not, you know, to the side or something like that. Yeah, so we don't know. So this is what we mean by gharābah. So you're left with your imagination trying to figure out how this person's nose looks like. Yeah? Yeah, that's right. Suitable.
Can I ask?
Yes, dear.
So I'm saying, the words he is using are they exist in the Arabic language, but then they're not in the form that he is using. Is that correct?
It's
like, for instance, the eyebrow is called the hajib, and the polished glass is zujaj. And the musrajan again is from the siraj, as you said. So is it just like he's making those words appear in a, like he's using basically ism fa'il and ism maf'ul and things like that, where you don't use it like that. Is meaning, like, is his construction strange, or the words don't exist at all?
the words do exist. The words do exist in this case, yeah, but it's just that it's not a common word. It's not a common word. Like, for example, here, yeah, marsina, yeah, marsinun, or yeah, it is nose, but it's used in some Bedouin dialects, not all. So you have to study and figure out, okay, this one came from whom, this one came from whom. He didn't say what we call nose in modern day Arabic. Do you know?
We say anf, isn't it? Anf.
Yes, exactly. So it's different. So this is something that not everybody uses. Yeah, not everybody. This is what we mean by gharābah, a strange word that people rarely use, but it does exist. It's just that it's a strange word.
And also it has more than one meaning. Like maybe anf only has one meaning, but mars could have two meanings.
Yes, this one has more than one meaning. Yeah, this one. So a strange word. This one, actually, this is under the category of a word that has more than one meaning. Yeah, we haven't looked at the one that is strange yet. Yeah, so this is a word of one meaning outside the Qur'an. Yeah, outside the Qur'an. However, the opposite to this would be an example from the Qur'an. Okay, so in this case, usually in the Qur'an, when there is a word with more than one meaning, there is what we call qarīnah. Maybe you have heard of this word, qarīnah, which is basically a context indicator. It indicates something. You see it. There's proof in that ayah that it can only mean this. Okay, so although the word might have two meanings, but because of the contextual indicator or the qarīnah, you know that it can only be this meaning. Yeah, so let's look at this example from the Qur'an. This word, yeah, azzaruhu. Yeah, this one. This word comes from azara. Yeah, So it can mean either you hold up someone, you honor someone, or you bring down someone, you humiliate someone. Yeah? But you can tell from the ayah itself, the context, فَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِهِ وَأَزَّرُوهُ وَنَصَرُوهُ. Yeah? That it can't be to humiliate, can it? Yeah? So those who believed in him, supported him, they wouldn't humiliate him, would they? They would honor him. So it's quite clear from the context, when we're talking about Nabi here, yeah, that it is honor and it's not humiliate. Yeah. Maybe you can try to go out first, Sister Vinita, and come back in again, and then we'll see the screen. Anybody else cannot see the screen? Yeah.
It happened to me in the beginning, then I went out and came.
Yes. Please do that. Go out and come back, inshallah. Maybe because you came in after I started sharing, and that's why it becomes a problem, inshallah. Okay. Yeah. So if you had seen this word by itself, it could either been they punished him or they honored him. Yeah. But since the verse continues with nasaruhu, yeah, helping him, then of course it fits with honoring. Yeah, it fits with honoring. So from the karina, from the context, we know the intended meaning. Yeah, this is basically what this is saying. So again, no word in the Qur'an is not Fasahah. Yeah, every word in the Qur'an is Fasahah. Yeah, so this is just a note of what it means. Yeah, al-zarah, to magnify, to praise, or it can also mean to humiliate, but in this case is of course to honor. Now, that was the first category of al-gharābah, a word that has more than one meaning. Yeah, but then we also have something we call a word so strange, hardly used, that even the natives have not heard of it. Yeah. So, yes, Sister Rahat, when you asked just now for the other category, yeah, this should be number 1. It is true, what we saw just now, the one here. Yeah. So most of the word does exist, it's just that it's rarely used, but what we are focusing on is actually this word, which has more than one meaning. Yeah, so this is where I was highlighting a word that has more than one meaning, not the others. Yeah, but they are, as I said, not something you would normally use either. Yeah, but not to the point of the second case where you don't know what it means at all. Yeah, so here, sorry, this is the Quranic example. So not even that you have heard it. Yeah, so here we have seen this example before when we did our first session, if I'm not mistaken. Remember this? Ma lakum taka'tum alay kataka'aku ikum alazi jinnah. Then we have ifranki'u anni. Yeah, so yes, I was having difficulty pronouncing it, as obviously it's not easy to pronounce. Yeah, and this word actually means together. Yeah, together. So what's wrong with you? You gathered upon me just like you're gathering upon a madman. Yeah, get away from me. So this was a story, if I'm not mistaken, about a grammarian, Isa, and he was riding his donkey and he fell off the donkey. Yes, Sister Alkans, you have a question? No? Or accidentally switched on your hands up? Okay. Anyway, so
sorry, sister. There is a word, and always astonished with that, and the meaning, I don't know, maybe we have more than one meaning. in Surah Shams, the word is Padamdama. The word is Damdama.
Damdama, Surah Ash-Shams.
Surah
Okay.
Shams, فَكَذَّبُوهُ فَعَقَرُوهَا فَدَمْدَمَ عَلَيْهِمْ رَبُّهُم بِذَنبِهِمْ فَسَوَّاهَا.
Okay. Right. Can you hold on to that first? Can you put it in the chat, the ayah and the surah? Let me finish our theory today and then we come back to that. Yeah? Inshallah. Okay. Just put in the chat the ayah and the surah to remind, inshallah. Okay. So now, yeah, he fell off the donkey, he got embarrassed, and people came and crowded around him, and so to cover his embarrassment, he said this. He used bombastic words to basically scare them off. Who is this madman who fell off his donkey? Yeah. So this is what he did. Yeah. Then there is another word and another example. Jahlanja. Jahlanja. Now this one actually, the poetry is quite, well, the meaning is so cryptic, so I didn't put it in. It will just confuse you, and my intention is not to confuse, but just to clarify why the word is so strange. Yeah, why is this word so strange? Because the person who heard this word, he was a poet. He was a guy who was a real expert on language, and he prided himself in knowing all the different dialects of the Bedouin. Yeah, but when he heard, his name is Abu Turab. When he heard this Bedouin man, if I'm not mistaken, the name was Abu Humayshi, I think, Abu Humayshi, who said this, a Bedouin. His word was so difficult to understand. People remembered his name over the years, or over the hundreds of years. So, but Abu Turab, as I said, is supposed to be an expert at this, and he's never heard this word. He's never heard it word. And all he can think of was, from the poetry, that this described a camel. This was a word for the temperament of a camel. Yeah, then this camel was Jahlanja. Even from the sound of the word, the camel is not going to be a good-natured camel. Yeah, Jahlanja. Yeah, so, but he didn't know this. He didn't know what the meaning is. Yeah, but this word has gone from generation to generation until up to now, because of its strangeness. Yeah, that's why it's still here. It was just the nature of the Arabs then, and the Muslim, the Arabs who became Muslim then, they were so into studying the Qur'an and knowing the language of the Qur'an. They went back to all the poetry and so on and so forth to compare, why is the Qur'an different? Why is the poetry then different? What makes it special, and so on and so forth. So they kept this word because until now, according to Ustad Numan, no one knows what it means. It was that once that he heard the Bedouin saying, Jahlanja in his poetry, that he took note of it. It just stood out. It just captured his imagination, so to speak. Yeah. So you will see this. You will see this when you study. As you study, inshallah, I hope you all become experts at this and then teach me. Yeah. That all these things over the hundreds of years, they've kept it. Whatever that's strange, they've kept it. The scholars have kept it. They preserved it because in the hope that one day somebody will come up with an answer. Yeah. So that's the beauty of the whole thing about this part of it, not the Qur'an bit, but about the language part of it, not the other bits and pieces over the years. So they preserved it because hopefully they said it will show certain things maybe related to the Qur'an, but otherwise it's more like a linguistic thing. The linguists are the ones who hold on to these sort of strange things. Yeah. So Jahlanja, until today, not very sure what it means, but he thinks Abu Turab means that it's talking about the camel that this person owes, this Arab owes, and he was trying to describe the temperament of that camel. You can actually do research online about this word, and it will come up with you with some quite interesting things. Yeah. Now, why it's important, as I said, because they wanted to capture epic words in the language so that they can compare it to the marvel of the Qur'an. Yeah. Now, if they had not been that interested, we wouldn't have known this word at all. You and I wouldn't be looking at this word today. Yeah, but they did. So alhamdulillah, certain things they preserve. Certain things we understand why, certain things we don't understand why. But inshallah, maybe our future generations will. Yeah, maybe our future generations will. Now we come to the third category, and this might be our final category for tonight, for this session. This is where we go against the rules of sarf. Yeah, when you go against the rules of sarf. Or maybe what we'll do is we don't do this. Let's just do the other two categories first. May I have your question again, Sister Alkan, so that I will stop the slideshow for the while. Yeah. So far, any questions? You have already asked the questions in it. So we'll stop at al-gharābah. We will continue the other two category of Fasahah Kalimah, and then we move to Fasahah Kalam. Yeah. So we'll do that here. We stop here, and maybe we look at the example from the Qur'an that you were saying. I will do this. Sorry, I'm still sharing my screen, as you see. Yes, can you tell me the surah again, please?
So this is Surah Ash-Shams, and the word is fadamdama. Last ayah, second last ayah of Surah Ash-Shams.
This one.
I cannot see the screen.
Oh, sorry. Is it? Is this clearer?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see.
Yes. Good. And your question was, is this a strange word, or is it something that everybody knows? Is it? Is that what you mean? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So the question was, this is like the very first time, or like the one time in the Holy Quran, and it contains more than one meanings. So can we use, or can we think this word damdama is also a kind of Fasahah in the Quran?
When you say kind of Fasahah, meaning you're not saying it's not clear, right? You're saying it is clear. It's just that it has a word that has more than one meaning. Yes, but in this case, because of the way it's been used in the word, we know that it's only one meaning of the more than one meaning. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I researched and I found more than one meanings.
Wow.
And those meanings are different than each other.
Okay, what is the meaning that you found? Fadamdama?
So, in this ayah, the meaning is crushed, or their whatever they did, the people of Saleh alayhi salam, they killed the she-camel, and after they got the punishment, they were crushed. And the other, like in some other dictionary, I found that the meaning of if you boil in a pot something, you put a lid on it. With the steam, the lid goes down. Like the boiling is in that level that the steam makes the lid go down. So it's like so much boiling. So that context was used when in Jahannam, the people who will get the punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their brains will be boiling like that things in the pot, and out of the steam, the severity, or the like so hot steam, even the lid comes down. If I can make it understand.
That's a horrible punishment, isn't it, for bringing down the camel? So here, the answer here, the translation says, so their Lord brought down upon them destruction, right? So fadamdama is that destruction, yeah, fadamdama alayhim. Okay. I do not know this word very closely, but what we can do is let's see whether there's any indication here. This is here. I just want to show you how to use this particular apps. Yes, it might or may not come useful in this case, but let's have a look. 9114. Okay. Now this is an app we call al-Bahas. This is the search of the Qur'an. Yeah. Here we are. So they have here under here. Oh yes, I understand. Yeah. So we have under tafsir and also under ulum. Yeah. And here we have things like explanation of things that are strange in the Quran. Yeah, there's so many things. You know Mayasir, this one you know. Yeah, tafsir. We have many types of tafsir that we can look at. The best thing is to look at the author, because sometimes you don't know the name of the book, but you know the author, right? Yeah. So this one like Ibn Jarir, this Ibn Kasir, Qurtubi, so you know which tafsir they're looking at. Sometimes you don't know the name of the book, but you know the author better. Yeah, like Baghawi, Al-Yusi. So these are people who have done tafsir before, and these are people who do the other sciences. Yeah. So there's one here under ulum that talks about sarf, but whether they mention anything about damdama, here we are, 14th. They did not mention, so it's probably a proper word, not anything that's strange. I have another resource that I use. Let's see whether this one has. فَأَطْبَقَ عَلَيْهِمْ الْعُقُوبَةِ. Uqubah, something difficult. Okay, let's look at another one. There is another source. No, they mention anything. Dalmim, right?
Yes.
So this is under. Can you see?
No.
Dum-dum's dry grass, and so it's dum-dum.
So it can have the meaning of thunder and so on and so forth.
I think it's an onomatopoeia word, dum-dum, sound of the thunder.
Destroyed. But you were talking of pot, right? There's also dry grass, dum-damu. It can have many meanings. Subhanallah. Okay. What I can do is I'll do a bit more research, and then we will have I'll share it what I find, yeah, about this one. Dam-dama daihim.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikum salam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yes.
Yeah. So
Mr. Rahat.
damdama, so damdama basically in dictionary it is saying like a growling sound, right?
It
So
looks like
that
it.
is they are relating to the pot, right? When it is steaming, so it's like a growling sound is coming out. Yeah, bubbling sound. Yeah.
But this is strange.
And then if you see Tahrir wa Tanveer from the app that you were before, so it's saying فَأَخَذَتْهُمُ الصَّيْحَةُ. Basically, they are saying that it is similar to shayha.
And tafsir.
Tafsir wa Tanwir, Ibn Ashur.
Yeah. Here? No.
No, Ibn Ashur.
Yeah,
In Alum.
Ibn Ashur, where are we?
In Alum, if we go, yeah, then you will see.
Our
Yeah.
that's in Alum. Okay.
In Alum or Tafsir?
It's Tafsir, I think. Yeah?
Yeah, it's Tafsir,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, it's Tafsir. Yeah, yeah. So Tahrir wa Tanwir, Lugha wa Balaghah.
Oh dear. I was looking at it that day. Here we are. Here we go.
Yeah, it is here.
Yes, Sister Qurratu, do you have something to say?
I wanted to say two things. One is that yes, the damdama has many meanings, but here the file is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So some of the meanings, the qabih meaning, they will become qabih because that's why those meanings don't apply, because the file is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَدَمْدَمَ عَلَيْهِمْ رَبُّهُمْ.
Oh yes.
So Lafzul Jalala, Rabb is the file. So we cannot apply those other meanings of damdama to this. That's how I understand it.
That's a very good point.
Also, we in terms
but
of
it
sarf, sorry.
Yeah. So it's just like describing the punishment, destruction, right? So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was mad, so he
but I'm saying that we have to be very careful how we word it. Like all those other meanings exist, but we have to be very careful which bit are we applying to Allah. Like we're talking about the Rabb, so that's why in the translations, they have most translations, if you check, they've only stuck to destroyed or annihilated and things like that. They have not used those other meanings because the file of the sentence is the Rabb. That's one thing I wanted to say. The other thing is that damdama, we cannot say that it is a strange, in terms of sarf, it's not a strange word because this is a rubai word. From like fa'alala, fa'alala. So it sounds strange to us because we are not used to rubai words, because most of the words in the Qur'an are
sulasi.
They are sulasi. So the rubai is going to stand out, and also because of the onomatopoeia element as well. It's conveying the sound through the repetition of the letters. So that's why it sounds to us like, oh, it's a strange word. But as we know that there's nothing, that there's nothing gharib about, in that sense. Excuse me.
I'm just
and
it's easy on the tongue as well. It's not hard on the tongue.
It is easy on the tongue.
And
so it follows the rules
even we are
of
saying the words damdama, it sounds like now sound like it's growling or something is happening, like waswasa, right?
It's like
when we say waswasa,
like
waswasa, like whispering feelings are coming. So same like damdama, I can feel like something is growling, right? So it's not hard word,
And there's a third thing I wanted to say. The hadith about the the least punishment to the person who is going to get the least punishment, where he's going to be given shoes of fire and his brain will be boiling. That hadith, as far as I know, does not use the word damdama. There's a different word used, but damdama is not used in that hadith. So to link damdam to that hadith, I don't know. I don't know the way what the evidence is for that, because the hadith should use the word damdam if we are trying to connect it to the hadith.
Well, the thing
I
is,
hope it makes sense.
Yes, what you said makes sense, but basically, we are addressing the question that Sister Alkan was asking, whether it's Fasahah. It is Fasahah. It's a clear word. Yes, that's the answer. So it is a clear word. Just that the meaning is a mix of meanings, but basically something that is harsh, something that is loud. I think we have established that, and inshallah, I'll see what else I can find out about it, and see. Then the word damdama will stick in our heads forever, right? Inshallah. It's just like the word green. Do you remember the description of green? Which surah am I talking about?
Description of green?
The longest, it's supposed to be the shortest ayah, but actually it's one word in the Quran.
Yes, it's in Surah Al-Rahman, isn't it? The word mudhammatan.
Yes, Mukhalafah.
Mudhammatan.
That's one. It appears only once. Okay.
That's right.
I will never remember.
And even this word damdama appears only once in the Quran.
That's quite a number of words that appear only once in the Quran. But the meaning is there. Okay. There's quite a few things in the chat that I'm going up and down trying to see, and I'm not able to address. I am not able to share the Lughatul Qur'an because it's copyrighted. Yeah, and you might want to have a look at what is it? The archives.org. Do you know that? Archives.org, and see whether you can get a copy from there, and just to see. Usually it's for reference, yeah, so that you can open it and just look at it. Yeah, something like that. The Lughatul Qur'an. This one. But this is the better choice. I mean, this one is really powerful. Yeah, they've done a lot of work.
I use it a lot.
This is really powerful. Yeah, we should do this. I think I've shared the link in the group as well, inshallah. Now there was another question, but I think the person who asked the question has left. So
why I'm not able to unmute myself now?
I can hear you.
Yeah, no, I want to unmute myself. Mute myself.
You want to mute
myself, yeah.
I have no idea.
But I'm not able to, I don't know.
I am not idea.
What's going on, yeah.
I'm not sure how I think I can still maintain the chat, right? It won't disappear when I close it, right? In Teams. So then I can have a look at questions, and inshallah I'll try and come back to you in the group itself. Yeah, in the group itself. So for now, what we will do is, as I said, we have just covered the first two. Yeah, the first two. Okay, so we have covered I'm afraid, just the first two of Fasahah and its meaning. Yeah, and we will try and do the others. Hello, I can't seem to get to the slide that I want to show. Here we go. Yeah, this is what we saw. We have done the first two. We are going to enter this one. Yeah, so this is quite interesting too. And once we have done this for the word, we will go into the words, the sentence itself, inshallah. So that should be quite interesting as well. Yeah, and yes, I will try and find out more about damdama and other things that we discussed, and I'll go through the chat again to see if there's a question that we have missed, and so on so far. So any questions before we leave, inshallah? Sister Momina?
No, not really.
Not really. Okay. So I hope the pace is okay, and we will get right. Yes, good. All right then. Is this Sister Zuvia or Brother Zuvia? Sister, right? Inshallah. Yeah. So I'll share. Right then. Subhanallah wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khair.
Amin wa iyyak.